Hey guys, today we're going to be rendering this Joybird lounge chair using Caliart markers. Now, when you start to draw this, you are going to think about, starting with a cube base. So I have the overall back, the front, and then I'm doing the cushion part, and it's a very full cushion. So instead of drawing the top as a, top of a cube, I've kind of curved it out a little bit. Now, I've also offset some lines to use so that I can think about the back of it. And you always want to look at the proportion, the overall proportion of your reference image. You know, the overall height to it and then the width of it as well. So that helps you draw something that's a little bit more accurate. And definitely in the beginning, I would use a reference image until you're comfortable, and then I would practice drawing the same image turned in space, because when you're drawing things for your project, it's not always going to be in the same angle that your reference image has it in. So get to know your form. This is basically a cube that's softened, so you can just rotate this in space. But right now I'm just using a reference image so you can see what it looks like when it's rendered. All right, so now that I like some of these lines, I'm hardening them because before I used really light sketch lines because I wasn't sure if I liked them or not, and then when I like them, I will harden them. So these are the colors that I'm using for this particular composition. Again, this is Caliart Art brand markers that I'm testing out. You will definitely, play with them. These are the particular colors that I plan to use for the actual chair itself. The other more brownish gold tones I would use for the wood base. Now, as with anything I render, I always use the lightest color first so that I am kind of building some kind of value. And so I put a little bit of shadow underneath and then building up to the side because the Caliart doesn't have the one perfect color to get the color that I'm going for. I have to build colors. So before I build colors, I usually do like a grayscale, like under base, so I can know like, hey, I need to remember to keep these areas a little bit darker. So I've got some kind of starting base composition here. And some of these areas I draw a little bit darker because I know that I'm going to have to go darker there. So it starting to look a little bit three-dimensional here rather than just a line drawing that I had drawn before. All right, so this is the next color I'm using, and you can tell that it's definitely a lot darker than the cap, but that's okay. I mean, a lot of these marker brands do that. So definitely test this out ahead of time. I have done the mistake of not testing and just going straight to render, and then it's super dark, and I've got to backpedal and figure out how to fix it. So here I'm doing a little bit of this dark color, and it's really dark, so I got to figure out how to go lighter. Let's see if this one works. That one is very light. And let's see if I can salvage this. Alright, so now I'm going on top of it, trying to find a bridge to these two colors because one is really dark and the other one's light, and I still have the gray underneath. But I'm hoping if I build value and kind of blend a little bit more, it won't be such a big noticeable difference. Here's another color. I don't know. Look at it. It's kind of super bright. So maybe I'll just use a little bit, see if I like it. Sometimes what I do is I'll do a bright one and then I'll put something more muted right on top of it, and it kind of tones down the brightness a little bit more and creates some kind of bridge. It's almost like, you know how some people like to use the colorless blender? I just use it between colors, and I use like the two colors close to it. Alright, so I'm going to do my edges, define my edges a little bit more, define my seams, get the cushions, have some definition between the loose cushion versus the back side. Some cast shadow underneath the cushion. Maybe some stitching here and there to have some interest. Okay. And the other thing is, once your marker is dry, it almost looks a lot lighter than when it was really wet. So it might be something that you can live with. So don't freak out right away. Sometimes you can save it. And sometimes what I do is just kind of emphasize my shadows, then it looks like it was more purposeful, very dramatic. All right, so now I'm going to use a much darker value here, and I'm going to use that as that cushion shadow, and right underneath here. There's just a little bit of line there, so there's a shadow. And again, I'm using the thin tip instead of the thick chisel end. So that, it's fine. I like it. I like the loose quality of it. See if I can blend some of these areas together a little bit more. Okay. All right, something like that. A little bit of shadow underneath the seat base. And then don't forget, you can definitely use your straight edge when you're rendering. It just makes it more clean. So I'm doing the shadow reveal underneath the box of the base. And now I'll use these colors for the wood base. So again, I'll use a light value to start. You know, I like to build color. It's kind of scary to go dark off the bat. So I'm now getting a little bit darker in my values here, doing a little bit of emphasis right underneath the box so that it looks like some kind of shadow. Some little reveal here and a little bit. Let's just use a straight edge so that it looks a little more clean. And then I kind of blend that down a little bit more. All right. So it looks something like this. So this is my demonstration of how I draw a lounge chair from start to finish, and I hope that helps you. And I will see you next time.